has a very long, apa ni nama dia? I think if I want to talk about philosophical, inquiry, that kind of thinking, I think she's the person that I would talk to lah. Let me put it that way. Okay. So for falsafah pendidikan Islam, I think she is one of the best reference person in this university. Of course, apart from Prof. Nani, and then Tan Sri Dr. pun minat sangat dengan MPK, and she was one of the key people that were involved in the conceptualization and also putting together content for apa ni nama dia, the uniform course on falsafah, which is actually taught in all universities. Okay, so she's part of the core team, and I think if you're interested in philosophy, in inquiry thinking, she's one of the best people that you should be talking to. So without further ado, she is going to bring.
Thank you for the introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your presence today. Are you going to use this video?
That one.
That one.
Yang ini.
Okay. I prefer that one, not for this one, but take my bed.
Tak ada masalah.
Not very clear. Okay. The topic of my sharing session, I will call it sharing session. I'm not going to give a lecture. Everyone goes to sleep. If I talk about philosophy, nobody understands it. So what I'm going to do is actually trying to share with you this falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan flagship project. Now, when you see we have this flagship, okay? Each year perhaps have one or more than one flagship, but we use it to engage with the community. Okay? So this flagship is actually under the pillar of education. Okay? So what I'm going to talk to you is actually how the flagship actually helps to some extent realize the estimation of this integration concept in the university. At the same time, simultaneously, realizing the estimation of the several mission statements. Okay? I think we have to check about the mouse detail. Okay, guys. Kita start dari now, one of the things that I think that the higher education person like IIC or maybe other universities or colleges, you need to understand that you have to go to your KPIs and rankings, because KPIs and rankings to some extent it may help you to identify the factors, but you may not have much for students, especially when you enroll into your journey. So you should go beyond that, especially. And I think the trend now is that in fact because remember that when COVID-19 that happens, everything is shut down, some industry died, right? So we cannot really rely on industry that. But therefore, I think it's important for us to actually look at a different angle when we talk about higher education. There's a need for us to emphasis on values education or emphasis on sustainable development. If we want future generation to flourish and popular, live happily, we have to make sure that the education that we have is towards sustainable development. Otherwise, the world is not less wrong. It will be something that you have to learn, it will be something that you have to instill to our students as future generation. Now, I'm not going to go quickly about the IIM, the Country Academic Framework, but this is the framework that starts the curriculum and the structure of the university, thus hoping to realize a particular type of values. Right? When we talk about the mission statement, this is some of the elements in the concept of the academic curriculum, or I would say something. Right? And then we also got the knowledge sharing, right? And the FPQ of physical freedom of the concept and concepts that are reviewed with FPQ. There's plan and not be. Also the SDGs, the education for sustainable development or sustainable development goals for the content. Now, looking at the democratic sharing, I think everyone knows that this is the objective of education in Islam. Okay, that we want to strive for the establishment and preservation of the 5 essentials. And these 5 things must be together. They cannot be prioritized one with another. So this is something that we talk about Islamic perspective. It's not as hierarchical like you know, it's not like that. Okay. The other thing is that we need to understand what are important in life. What are important in life. In any knowledge that you pursue or practices that you do, you must consider these 5 things of Maqasid Syariah. Okay, and this is where we've got the IIUM Central Mission Statements. I'm highlighting all the word because these are the important points that we want to understand. One is that we aim to reform the contemporary Muslim mentality through integration of the Islamic liberal knowledge and human sciences. This is important. Okay, and next is we want to be able to produce agents of comprehensive and balanced progress, okay, as well as sustainable development. So all these people that you want, the graduates especially should know how to play their role, okay. Now that I think it's but in the real context of contemporary challenges, okay. Next is talking about the concept of Islamization of human knowledge in all aspects, okay. Nurture the quality of holistic excellence, okay. Exemplify an international community where we should be motivated by Islamic worldview and code of ethics as part of our working culture. Enhance intercultural understanding and foster civilization dialogues. And finally, instill commitment for lifelong learning and a deep sense of social responsibility. If you look at this vision mission statement and if you study the sustainable development goals, they are very similar. They are very similar. You can see that all the 17 SDGs are actually all parts of the Central Mission Statement. So if you want to produce a graduate, if you have your own university vision or college university vision, you need to know how this can help to attain what is important in the world, i.e. SDGs, okay? Right. I think we need to also recall the first World Conference on Muslim Makkah, because that actually helps to formulate the philosophy of Islamic education, right? Where we understand that in that particular conference, the Makkah conference, education should aim at the balanced growth of the total personality of man through the training of man's spirit, intellect, rational self, feelings and bodily senses. Okay, the training imparted to the Muslim must be such that faith is infused into the whole personality and creates in him an emotional attachment to Islam and enables him to follow the Quran and the Sunnah and be governed by the Islamic system of values willingly and joyfully. That is key, so that he may proceed to the realization of his status as Khalifatullah, to whom Allah has promised the authority of the universe. Many things that we can identify, okay, which I will share with you when I compare it with the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan, right? FPK or falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan is actually an effort, an ongoing effort towards further developing the potential of individuals in a holistic and integrated manner, so as to produce individuals who are intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced
and harmonious based on a firm belief in and devotion to God. So the highlighted ones are to show the similarities, okay, not in words but in concepts. Okay, such an effort is designed to produce Malaysian citizens who are knowledgeable and competent, who possess high moral standards and who are responsible and capable of achieving a high level of personal well-being, as well as being able to contribute to the harmony and betterment of the society and the nation at large. Now, let's look at the word balanced growth in philosophy of Islamic education, and the fact that we also talk about holistic and integrated manner, developing holistic and integrated manner of the different aspects of individuals. So as you can see in FPK, they talk about individuals who are intellectually, spiritually, emotionally and physically balanced and harmonious, while when in philosophy of Islamic education or PI, it talks about training of mind, spirit, intellect, rational self, feelings and bodily senses. Okay, and both are actually talking about belief and devotion to God. Okay, if you can see, Africa talks about firm belief and devotion to God, whereas the PI talks about the training should be imparted in such a way that faith is infused into the whole of his personality. So there's an recognition of the importance of faith and belief in God. The thing is, the difference that you can see is highlighted in the yellow, because these are not mentioned in FPK. Because FPK is a general or universal statement of philosophy of education for Malaysia, which is a multi-racial, multi-diverse nation. So it doesn't basically explicitly identify Islam in the statement. Okay, but if you look at PI, it highlights the importance of Quran and Sunnah as the sources of knowledge, the Islamic system as the system of values, and Khalifatullah. I think for the Muslim, everyone knows what is Khalifatullah, right? What is Khalifatullah? Basically, it's someone who carries the trust or the amanah to care for the world. Okay, briefly I can say that, right? So someone who care for the world should also contribute to the development of the well-being of the world environment, the nation, the community, and that is the same as what is stated in FPK. So the aim is similar, the outcome is similar, and both basically talks about achieving something. What is the better end? Okay, and they all are grounded in this understanding that human being is the one who has the authority of the universe. Okay, so if you look at between FPK and PI just now, you can see one is this continuous and effort of growth, lifelong learning. Okay, lifelong learning, that's one. Integrated and balanced development of Jari and Sah, Jasmani, Emosi, Rohani, Intellectual, and Sahitya, okay. Social, Alam, and Hamba Allah, okay. And belief and devotion to God, faith infused, responsible to self, family, community, environment, and nation, which is the role of Khalifatullah. And of course, the end would be kesejahteraan, or this happiness or success or falah in Islam. We say falah lah, because we don't talk about success in this world only. We talk about life in hereafter. So that's falah. So if you look at all this, there are a lot of similarities. And the difference is that for philosophy of Islamic education, it talks about this process of tarbiyah, where basically you need to know, because when you have Islamic system of values governing your life, is the whole process of tarbiyah, where it identifies Quran and Sunnah and the sources of knowledge, that the final aim is different, that there's this world and life hereafter that we should aim for. Okay, so that's a very big difference. What we can see if you analyze in detail is this concept of insan sejahtera, okay, where we acknowledge different aspects, right, and the balanced growth of them. And then this understanding of the concept of integrated ilm and education, what kind of knowledge that you need to learn, okay, one that is integrated in order for you to produce an integrated man. And then you have the purpose of life, this amanah, okay. As a Khalifah, and that you are supposed to care for this. You are accountable to God. You have to care for the family, society, environment, and nation. So this is basically what your responsibility is for Sejahtera and Falah. Right? Okay. So now let's go to learning pillars. Now the 5 learning pillars, usually we only mention 4, but actually now they have 5. One is that learning to know. For the UNESCO understanding of education, we start with learning to know first. Once you do that, then you need to learn to do, which will bring you to learn to live together. Now, this is very important. If you know and you do, but you do not know how to live together, what happens? There's no peace, right? Right? Destruction. And then learning to be. What does learning to be means? What is the difference between learning to be and learning to become? Learning to be is to realize your potential, but learning to become is that there must be consistently change towards a better end. That's a difference. Okay, learning to become is when you are consistently changing and transforming. Be is yes, you be, but it doesn't stop there. You must be able to change. Okay, I like to compare between the FPK and the SDGs. Now, if you want to have the SDGs, you must have the FPK first. You have to have the development, the integrated development of the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, and the intellectual, right? Once you have done that, then only you can teach them about knowledge. Okay, they need to know, because if they know, then they may not do if you don't develop them well. Okay, and then they have to proceed to learning to live together. I think this one should be. And finally, all the learning pillars can be achieved. So there's an importance for us to make sure that the students or the learners should be developed well, integrated in an harmonious way. And these are the 17 sustainable development goals. I think you may be familiar with some of them, right? Especially in your area, right? Which is your area? Which one is your goal in the area of your study? We've got from goal 1, no poverty, up until goal 17, partnerships to achieve the goal. Now in IIUM, Tan Sri Director is very much moving towards adding another goal, because as an IIUM, with our own mission statement, we want to emphasize on the 18th goal, which is spirituality, which is faith, because that is the most important goal for the university. And I think for IIC or for any other higher education institutions, you need to know what is your mission statement, so that you can align them with the sustainable development goals. Right. Now, looking at that, what we want to do is that it's not just a matter of the students knowing, but whatever they do, it should be a form of ibadah, part of your worship, because that's your amanah. And eventually, whatever you do, it should be a degree or a scroll, right? I know sometimes you need that to work, but you should go beyond that. Okay? And then for rahmatan lil alamin, what does that mean? That you are mercy to the rest of the world. Not for yourself, but also to the rest of the world. Because if you don't do this, then you wouldn't be able to create a better place to live in even. So how can you make sure that you get a good job or live happily? Okay? So in the end, this is what we want, that intelligence, good practices, values should be able to help limit this destruction that most of the time you can see happening in this world. Right? Conflicts, mass production that leads to unsustainable development. Okay, so these are actually all facade. And what are we doing today? So that's why I think it's important that in education, at higher education level, even lower, there must be an effort to emphasize on this environment and sustainable development. Because otherwise, the future generation will not last long actually if the world is not there. Okay, this is just to show the relationship between all these four elements I mentioned just now. Maqasid Syariah, okay, the IIUM Cyber Mission and FPK, the SDGs, right, which will eventually help to realize the justice and sejahtera concept and ensure that the society, the environment, that the shared prosperity and the spirituality in where we live. Okay, now this is actually the SAC. As you can see. Now, what happens is that the university embed all this through the curriculum. Okay, through the curriculum, and I'm going to show you what are the things that we actually do. If you look at the Unicore, it has all these elements. Fundamental knowledge, Quran, Tazkiyatun Nafs, community engagement, sports skills, language, education for sustainable development. And I think this is just in the Unicore. The same thing is supposed to also be embedded in the program core, electives, and co-curriculum. Okay. So what happens is that SAF guides the academic program. So in all of the courses that we have to identify what are the elements of SAF that exist or that can help to carry on SAF. Then we've got the Unicore. Maybe I can show you some of the later on, some of the courses that carry on this idea of SAF. The Kuliah courses, specialized courses, elective, and even internship. All this, and including BR. You know what is BR? In IIUM, BR is this environment. This BR Solar is the environment that we want to create to be able to promote this SAF and also eventually produce the products that we want. So it includes the social support, the community, the facilities, the infrastructure, including the pedagogy of the lecturer. So this is what BR is. So everything play a hand in developing this balanced individual, i.e. humanizing education. So this is what we mean actually by humanizing education in IIUM. Okay. We hope that the formal academic structure and non-formal student life are actually in many ways should be guided by the SAF, Sejahtera Academic Framework. Okay, now let's go to our flagship. Okay, maybe I'm going to share some of the things that we do. FPK is one of the many flagships. We have 3 cycles so far. And Alhamdulillah, we survived the 3rd cycle. Okay, although I think our flagship is the least active because we're not very visible. I'm not very good in promotion, you know. I still need a lot of work and assistance in that. But what we do is that we do 2 things. One is advocacy programs. The other is on community engagements and transformation programs. Okay. For the advocacy programs, a lot is to deal with this raising the consciousness on the awareness of what is FPK. So we did that through the lecture series that we had done so far, I think for almost 1.5 years. Then we got the book project. The first book came out. Second book is still ongoing. And then we also did several trainings, Insan Sejahtera trainings. And interestingly, we also helped in formulating the Sejahtera Academic Framework for the FPK part. So this Insan Sejahtera is where we give training to the staff, for the new staff, And also for students in Ta'aruf, it's always good to start early with them so that they know what our expectations of them. And of course, like what Prof. Nolida has mentioned just now, we also work on the KPT MPU course, which is falsafah dan isu semasa. Because we brought in this concept of insan sejahtera also in that course. Right. So for the community, develop a good kind of assessment, because I think most of the assessment that we have, instruments are not really relevant, so they are coming up with an alternative. And of course, the Hikmah education for all, we have done several with some of the NGOs for refugees. Previously, under Dr. Suad, she did a lot for the Arab refugees, Cinta Syria, involving also for the Yemeni refugees. And we also did some for Rohingya. And recently we are working with JREC. Right. These are also some of the programs that we do through courses. Now, FPK is the flagship. Like any other flagship, you can actually do programs with schools or with communities, and you can also do it through the courses that you have with the students. So it is a very good way to involve the students in community engagement. So if you got a course, you got a project, this is what it means. Okay, have a flagship where you can make the students go out to the community and engage with the community. So we did this highly immersive language programs. It's actually a culturally responsive teaching under global citizenship education in the SDG, right? And this is actually not under us, it's under KLM actually. So some members of the KLM, Kuliah of Language and Management, are a member of flagship. So flagship FPK is open to all. Anyone can join actually. Okay. So what they do is that they have engagement language programs with Shenandoah University in the States, where they have exchange programs online with the schools in Muar, in Pancho. So it's also a very good exposure for the students and the teachers. And then we've got the special education needs advocacy programs, which is actually webinars managed by the students in the course. This is actually a Kuliah required course, Understanding SEN. So what they do is they have several webinars. I will share with you some of the posters later. We've also got the seminar in counseling course, where every semester they will actually have one very big seminars, promoting well-being, mental well-being, for instance, awareness about self-care, okay? And then career counseling as a course also have many school outreach programs helping the students. And of course, this one is very famous, Usra in Action, URA 1 and 2 we call it. Usra in Action project is actually a university required course. It has been revamped. The UIA 1 is where the students are taken to the community to do community profiling, identifying the problems that they have, the gaps, and then continuing to UIA 2, the following semester is where they will do the community project. So this is a very successful course, I would say, because recently when the university had the RCE International Conference, we won several awards to the UIA projects working with the flagship. So now, in the past, flagship has a lot of problems because we do not know how to get students, right? We cannot use our same students because the courses may sometimes not be suitable to go at all communities. But with the UIA courses, we can actually do that. In fact, in Kuantan in medicine, especially they've got this community medicine. So they actually use UIA also to involve the students. So I think that's where one of the flagship actually won the award, the community transformation of medicinal, providing medical healthcare to the communities. This is one of the ways that we can do with the students, which actually help them to become more concerned about the society surrounding them. I think it's stuck lah, Prof. Noli. Kalau lama dia tak cakap banyak, dia stop. Thank you. Right. Okay, see, these are some of the webinars that the students actually organize for SEN. On Braille reading and reading system, how many of us can read Braille? It's actually a good skill. Okay. Disabilities in education, understanding the career path. You know, what is the career path for disabled people? Have you ever thought about that? I do not know how many disabled students do you have. Do you have many, Sister One, Madam One? Do you have many? Few. So what do you do to help them aspire? So at the university now, people are talking about that, and we have to give them a chance, you know, to give them a chance to know that there is a future for them. Just as we have a future at higher ed, the same thing for them. Yeah? And then also about learning for special education needs, some of the problems that you need to know. Okay. If you do virtual learning, what can you do? Things like that lah. Then we've also got one. If you look at all the speakers, they are all disabled. So this is where we want to hear from the disabled people sharing their experience, how they survive, what did they go through. How can we turn disability into ability? Okay. Managing autistic children is not easy, especially parents. I think even now there is a need for better support for parents to understand their children. What more of teachers? So these skills are all very important about how to manage ADHD. How do you teach? Because you have to manage it first, then you can teach, right? So how do you teach with ADHD students, with autistic students? So there are therapy, or there are ways to do that. Okay. So this is what they learn. Okay, next is the counseling seminar. Okay, I think this one in last year, this year, Dr. Han was very successful because it involves 3 institutions from 3 countries. I think Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia, and also 12 local universities. That's one. And they also have engagement with the students. So they call all the PRS coming in, giving them skills, identifying about mental health issues, suicidal ideation, depression. So these are very good ways for us to reach out to the peers, peers at school. Then they also have the career counseling for Form 5 students. This is one of the many schools that they go through. This is one of the highlights, I think, of the program. We had a program where Mara sponsor, students, B40 students in the Kuala Lumpur district. And we invited all these professionals to talk about career aspiration. So sometimes if you don't expose this to them, they don't know, especially the B40s. They don't see. So what we did was we brought them to IIUM, but none of the speakers are IIUM alumni. And ironic, none of them are IIUM alumni, yeah, right, Dr. Han? But they are all professionals. We've got pilot, we've got mountain climber, right? And then we've got hospital director. We've got CEO of, I can't remember what. So many came, consultant and trainers. And they had a good time, these students, because they've never talked to a professional. So they don't know what's happening out there. Perhaps they think that, okay, I just need to go to university. But now there's so many alternatives and so many channels, right? We've got TVET, right? So many alternatives. So this is where we need to show the students what are the alternatives that are available for them. So sometimes I know this is, we realize that it's actually a difficult time for the students when they want to fill up UPU. because they don't know. And then it doesn't help that our schools do a lot of streaming according to achievement, kan? So it's very difficult. KPM matriculation is different. Foundations is different, right? TVET is different. So I think this is where it's a very good opportunity for the students to learn where they can go. Otherwise, they will just end up being Grab riders. That's what we don't want lah, if possible. Not for the full-time job lah, kan? Okay. We also have a lot of collaboration program because these are the agencies that approach us. For instance, like Sungai Pusu, we have a long relationship with them, right? They are considered one of our anak angkat lah. So I think recently the universities helped to set up a reading hub for them. Okay, and before that we did a lot of trainings for the teachers and students. And then this one is actually a community program between the PPD Gombak and Majlis Perbadanan Selayang, calling us to help the B40 students to prepare for their SPM. Okay, and we also engage the parents, not just the students. And then this is actually a language camp that we have. We have consistently a language camp, either Arabic and also English, in many private schools and also public schools, right? So this is one of the programs that we have with the Sekolah Agama Arab Tanjung Karang with the Arabic students. And then recently we've done this Solat Squad program. I think Prof Nolida was also the project leader. We were given some fund where we trained preschool teachers, and these preschool teachers, they will gather B40 students, about 200, I think I can remember, 200, and we teach them about how to do solah and other very basic fundamentals lah of kafah lah, fardu ain, but in a very fun way. So this is, I think it runs about from March to June. A very successful program. And then these are some of the programs that we have done through MOU and mobility for AFPK flagship. So as you can see, when we have these KPIs, you know, when we have to do publication, we have to do MOU, we have to do research, all the academic stuff, sometimes they are not very keen because it's like KPIs that they have to do. They feel compelled to. But when we have flagship, we can see that all these things are actually achieved, but not as targeting as KPI. No, we do it through the flagship. And in fact, I think through the flagship, we achieve more MOUs than doing it on our own. Recently, we had the Education with Rahma with Bangkyo University, Dr. Mastura's project. I think she talked about it yesterday. And I think we recently had the one MOU with Prof. Tuba from Hamburg University on interreligious education in diverse communities. In German, interestingly, there are monotheistic faith there. So they've got the majority Christian or Catholic, Muslims and Jew. But they don't have other religion like us. In Malaysia, we have Christian and Islam, but we have a lot of Hindus and Buddhists, right? So they want to learn how to understand the religion of philosophies. So that's where they are coming here, and they want to know how we address, because over there it's quite easy because it's monotheistic religion. You believe in one God, okay, in different forms lah, kan? But over here it's different. So they want to see how we manage. And I haven't brought her to Bono. Bono is more diverse, right? Sabah Sarawak is more diverse. So this is also a good opportunity where we bring our students to understand the different culture and practice of religion. And then we've also got, we're working now with Okayama University to set another MOU. Okayama University in Okayama actually has this ASP.NET. It's actually a networking of community where they have UNESCO schools that are given the title of UNESCO schools. And these schools have a very good networking of programs that are related to the SDG lah. So we are getting assistance from Okayama to help us identify potential schools in Malaysia and helping them to reach that UNESCO school level. I was informed there's only one school in Malaysia, Sri Putri. You cannot challenge lah Sri Putri, but now we want to go to a very public school, normal public school lah. And then we have another invitation to do English language camp in Banten. These are actually supposed to be run by our TESOL students, not by us. So they have been invited to do. So it's good that the MOU and mobility involve not only just lecturers, but the students and the community, right? So this is some of the, this is actually the symposium that I think Prof. Nolida also organized last year, Education with Rahmah. This is the culmination of the MOU, right? The project of Education with Rahmah with Bangkyo. And then this is Prof. Tuba coming in her first visit, looking at the diversity in Malaysia. And then we had a dinner with the interfaith NGOs, Christmas dinner, and everyone was there. So it was a good experience. This is Okayama's first visit to SMK Batu Muda. So we are now helping SMK Batu Muda to be a UNESCO school. We have chosen the school, I think, for many reasons. One of it is because they have a very strong pendidikan khas program. And all these are actually students' project. This tanam-tanam kan is actually the pendidikan khas students project. They bake breads, they sell the breads. It's very good. And the Japanese are impressed. Oh, tak ada masa dah. Okay, cepat-cepat. Alah, I pun dah tunjuk gambar. Okay. So the Japanese are impressed because they didn't know that we have a good program for special needs. So this is something that they want to learn. No, their program are more for science lah kan, macam low emission, solar system, you know. But they don't have this, not so much lah. So they like it, and the school actually did a very big welcoming, all with the, you know, bunga mangga. I felt like I was a pengantin, all the silat and everything. And then they also made this bubu Ashura. At that time, masa tu nak dekat bubu Ashura, Nuzul Quran agaknya. So they did bubu Ashura, they were excited. Okay. Next, we also have our FPK through our research and publication. Now, we got a lot of grants because I think maybe they know the experts and they come in. Some of them are on mental health and well-being, training module development, and also Orang Asli. One recent one is Orang Asli lah project. So this is the FRGS. Most of the project or the research grant is on mental well-being. And then this is the module development that we did for Kelantan State. This is also a continuous grant, second time grant Dr. Halim received on Orang Asli. Okay. So I'm coming to the last slide, Prof. Noli. One thing that we have realized when we use FPK flagship in transforming the education is that we easily achieve our whatever you call as rank KPIs lah. And we give ranking a different meaning. It's no longer just research, just publication, but it's done through the community engagement. And we realize that almost all of our research are meaningful to us lah, at least kan. Otherwise, we don't want to embark on it. Meaningful, responsible ones, because we involve the community. We want to know what the community problems are. And students actually grow through the community engagement because it's an experiential learning for them. They go to the field. And we just let them free. They roam and learn by themselves. And this is how the Insan Sejahtera and concept of Murabis are promoted among the students and the lecturers. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention. Any question? Maybe later lah kot. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suhailah. I think for the next speaker, I think if you have any questions, we keep it to the end because we do have time before the next session. I'd like to introduce Associate Professor Dr. Haniza Rais. Dr. Haniza, banyak benda. I think I will not do justice in my introduction to her because dia sangat aktif. Sekejap dia dekat Cairo, sekejap dia dekat, hari tu dekat US ke online. but all over the place. Okay, so Dr. Haniza Rais, she was, I think I'm right to say that the founder of our counseling program. Okay, she's with the Department of Educational Psychology and Counseling. She's a licensed counselor. So if you need counseling, she, I think, maybe can spare some time lah kot. Okay, and Dr. Haniza has been a committee member of Pekama International, Persatuan Counseling Malaysia, for a very long time. And she's one of the most active members. So I think one of the recent achievements that she and her team has is that they won gold medals and best invention for their IIM Sejahtera profiling and also web-based application, which is a screening tool for early detection of mental health issues. So I hope probably Dr. Haniza will share those with you. And I must tell you that, you know, Dr. Suhailah, Dr. Haniza, I think you should take the opportunity to collaborate. All right. So, I mean, sometimes, you know, doing it alone is not easy. But when you have partners, then it is much easier. It's doable. Okay. So, please, I'd like to welcome Dr. Haniza. Let us, we didn't give a warm welcome to Dr. Suhailah and also to Dr. Haniza sekali lah.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Okay, while waiting for the slides to be on. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Tak dengar eh? Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? Okay, all right. Sorry, I have to be here. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oh, I'm running away from the camera.
Oh, camera. Yeah. Ada Naim kat depan.
Start the first one. I have quite a number of slides, but I'm gonna skip, so don't get angry because I have to rush through the slides, but I will give you some idea. The topic today is very important, and I think when I first approached by the two Prof to present, to give one slot for the plenary, I'm not sure if I can fit in with the conference team, but over the weekend, even this morning, I still wonder what should I share most, because I think this is a very good conference on humanizing. A lot of things that I've done over the years actually really about whatever we know a lot actually. We have read a lot, we have gone to take courses, we do a lot of things. But in reality, when it comes to real, when you are in crisis, you cannot remember everything. And that is the time that I think what's important is your wisdom. And whatever Dr. Suhailah has shared is very important. I'm a very, I don't want to say fanatic, I'm a fan okay, of FPK, Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan. When I first learned FPK, it was in 1993 when I did my Diploma of Education with Kuliah of Education. It's perfect to me. And how you use the ideas is very important. But first and foremost, you have to understand what is FPK. FPK is not just for school. It's actually for education as a whole. So if this lifelong learning, FPK is there for us. So okay, now I'm ready to for my slide. Okay. Dia tak close ni. Tak ada. Tak jadi.
Tak detect dengan MacBook.
Oh, ni boleh? Boleh dah?
Saya tekan.
Okay. So basically, I see that the word mental health is everything nowadays. It has, I think we have, I'm very happy with our situation today because many people have discovered, have learned to understand mental health better. Kalau tak ada crisis, we probably still have this stigma about mental health. We still have misconceptions about mental health. So I think we all learn a lot from the crisis, whatever happened to us. Okay, so like I said, when I want to pick a topic for this slot, I believe that what's important for us to do is, when we are in crisis, we want to bring back the equilibrium in our life. Will be affected. People around us will be affected. Everybody is affected. Sometimes you want to go to get help from someone, that person is affected more than you. So it's really hard. So, and we want to slowly go back to the state of mental health. Okay, let's go next. Mana situ ya? Ini ya. Sini. Okay. Okay. So basically, this is, to me, is a heavy topic, because you want to talk about mental health, you want to talk about crisis, and I will show different types of disasters in Malaysia. And most importantly, we want to talk about our reactions and our response to crises that happen to us. And at the end, I will share with you how we can actually look for the support and professional assistance if it's necessary at the end. Okay. Saya tak pandai lah pakai ni, seriously. Okay. You just click Okay, thank you. Tengok professor jadi klik ni clicker. Okay. This I've listed some of the things that I think you all remember. Do you remember? Some of you probably were not born yet in 1993. Okay. It started with that, the Highland Towers. It was really a shock to the nation. All right. Kejap. Go back. I nak baca, read the chronological order, the history. Okay. Then we have tsunami in 2004. And that is another shock. It's at the end of the year. I noticed also we got all the disaster mostly end of the year. So it's quite a closure. So then we had Lahad Datu incident. Do you remember this? It was really scary. We never thought that somebody will occupy part of our country. And I'm listing things that I'm involved with, because the rest I cannot say more. And then we have MH370, missing, gone. This has led to ambiguous loss. That's another term that we use in counseling, that lots of issues because of the ambiguity. Okay. And MH17, slightly after that. Okay. In April, we lost a flight. And then in July, there's a flight crash. So that's another set to the country. And I listed flood disasters. Thing with 2014. Do you remember where it happened? The worst. Can you remember the name of the town name? Mani Urai. Suddenly Mani Urai become the top of town. Remember that? People run to the top of the mountain. All right. And then if I'm not mistaken, 2021, that's at the end of COVID-19. Suddenly we got hit another flood disaster when every parts of the country are affected, starting with Shah Alam. I remember that day, it was a very heavy rain, and I was at the grocery store. Masa tu Roshamat baru buka kat Shah Alam, so I was there. And didn't know that it was really bad, affected Section 13 at that time. And you imagine being in Shah Alam, it's very quiet Shah Alam. Anyone here from Shah Alam? Okay. And you cannot actually cross the federal highway. We have a friend who actually, on the other side of the road, had to look for a hotel to sleep for the night because they cannot cross the federal highway. So Shah Alam ni ada dua bahagian, on the right, on the left. Okay. So that happened really, I would say, cripple the Bandaraya Shah Alam, because at that time we are not prepared. We have COVID-19, but we are quite prepared when we have this panic buying, right? We stock up everything. But when that happened, people have no food at home. And I remember that afternoon that people we have, I think, the one thing about Malaysia is very kind people. We have Telegram that people share. Whoever need help will just, okay, please rescue this family. Please bring food for this family. Please bring medicine for this family. We have elderly people. We have sick people. We need oxygen. We need this and that. And that has to go through. We have to take, it is unreachable certain places. Some of them are not reachable for 2 days, and no electricity, no food, and not only people, we're talking about pets and all that. And that's really, really, I still remember that day that we have to cook and just send food, continually cooking and send food using the boat that we have. And that is the time that we realize that we need boat in the middle of Shalam. All right. So you can see the person and the people get stuck on the other side of the road, but you cannot reach them because of the flood. And it's really, really sad. Okay, can we go next? And that crisis really helped us to see the importance of humanizing situation. This is Highland Tower. And then next, we can go quick just to show pictures to some of the young people, probably didn't see that. And then tsunami, we from education had the opportunity to visit the family members who lost quite a number of siblings. And I think for us, it's 2004, but for those people who lost their family members, they still feel that it's like yesterday. So, and it's really, one thing that I cannot imagine. We cannot imagine, in a split second, you lost a number of family members. And then we have, next, MH317, okay. Okay, MH317 and MH370 really tested us because we had volunteers. Luckily, Malaysia Airlines, they have prepared. Even though they are prepared, there are things that are still not that easy to manage situation when you suddenly realize that one flight is gone, missing, another flight is just crashed. Okay, Malaysian Airlines, they have actually trained or recruited caregivers. They have this system that I was involved with the training the caregivers. They are among the stewards, and even pilots and staff of Malaysian Airlines. They are trained to assist. They are not counselors. They are just like caregivers. Whenever there are crises, they will attend to the family members and next of kin. So luckily but what happened is that we train different people, but when it comes to the day, everybody want to volunteer, and it's really chaotic because whatever we train, we thought that these people are prepared, but kind people anywhere, everywhere want to help. And at that scene itself is really, to me, a chaotic in the beginning, because we cannot, I could understand that Malaysian Airlines have to accept people who want to help from all kinds of NGOs. Although at that time we have this MOU with Malaysia Airlines. I was with Persatuan Council Malaysia. We are the one who was supposed to be there, but we also welcome other NGOs. But that also another issues with coordination, especially when we have this kind of people want to come and help, and sometimes it kind of affect the coordination and the flow of we're talking about people who are not ready with crisis. And the two different things between MH370 and 17 is, number one, I remember that one uncle came to me, they said, we want answers. I'm just a counselor. I said, we want answers. At that time, the minister, I would say, Hishamuddin did a very wonderful job at keeping us update. These are the heroes that actually very professional, and I know they are not hiding anything. But being civilians, being the public, they have all these assumptions, and social media is really a challenge. Not true. Okay, so the affected people, the victims, will come to you and ask, is it true that they found the flight here? Is it true that this is what happened, that what happened? Of course, you are trained to calm them down first. Okay, so these are the things that is really lesson learned, that We don't do counseling at the setting. Some people say, why don't you do counseling? You're a licensed counselor. No, we don't do counseling at the setting. We help them manage the crisis by calming them down. Okay, I remember that most of them, you have to make sure they eat, they drink. So very often crisis counselor will have water bottle. I remember a good friend of mine shared honey stick. They don't eat. So they get, when they talk to you, we know they are not eating. So we give them at least water, and the honey stick really help. And I actually, the one thing that also, one thing we do, we also help the caregivers calming down the caregivers is also another challenge. Why? Because the affected family, they kind of harassing the caregivers, wanting this and that, and the caregivers, they are not taking care of themselves. They are attending to the victims, or not the victims, the family members. So they don't take care of themselves. They don't eat, they don't sleep. At night, they have nightmares. Okay, so when we talk about crisis, we have to make sure that we observe people around, we offer help. And I remember telling Malaysia Airlines that I think I want to do debriefing with the caregivers, because the one caregiver came to me, said that you said you told us during the debriefing that we can always turn to you. And that girl is actually shivering talking to me. She's about to get married in a week. Okay, and she volunteered. And at that time, she cried, she broke down, because she think that the family members are asking too much from her. And this is the reason why, because she actually doesn't know the limit. Okay, there's a limit to helping people. Doing all out is not going to help. You have to know your limit, and you'll be able to be direct about it, and get help when needed. Okay, so that's what happened. And I actually gave the girl, I brought along Play-Doh. I'm play therapist as well, so I brought along Play-Doh and coloring and everything for the younger kids. So I gave the caregiver the Play-Doh, and while talking to me, first I asked her to drink, because I can see that all the lips are dry and she's just not eating. And I give her the water bottle, and also I asked her to take that honey stick. In the beginning, she's not able to talk. Okay, but I also teach her how to do deep breathing. I think this one you all know already. Okay? In order to calm someone down, you have to coach that particular person to do deep breathing. Okay, and of course, as a Muslim, we do hold their hands and zikir together with that person to calm her down and drink. And while talking to me, she's holding the Play-Doh, and it's like, what do you call it, stress ball again. And she's able to communicate with me, and that helps. Okay, it's not counseling, but it's just to manage that crisis. Next. Okay, but I have to go very quick. Okay, then we have COVID-19. This is really unexpected. Normally, what happened with crisis is always, almost all the time, unexpected, and it is sudden. Even if some crisis we are prepared for certain crises like flood and all that, but still, when time comes, it's not ready. But what's important when something like this happen is the role ourselves as human being, as a person. I believe that whatever knowledge we have to put ourselves in that situation and see whether it's what are the immediate needs. That's why I said FPK is very important, because it covers all this aspect of, number one, when we help people in crisis, we have to make sure that we take care of the physical needs. Okay, so there's no point of talking, asking how are you, how do you feel, because the most important thing, the basic needs, I think you have in education, you know about Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? So the basic thing, so make sure they eat and they drink, and they want to make sure they have place to sleep and rest. Okay, and then we start talking, then only we start exploring. So the immediate needs, what's urgent, that's important in responding to crisis. Okay, and we don't know, don't make assumption. Some people will have to decide, what is important to you now, what's immediate, what's urgent. So the urgency is the key word. Okay, and then only we'll be able to deliver services, support effectively. Okay, I take back the word effectively, timely first. So sometimes when we provide support or assistance, two things that is very important is timely and is appropriate. Sometimes you give something, it's not appropriate for that moment. So you really have to make sure, is this what you need? Is this what you want? And is this appropriate at that time? So that's why I say counseling is not going to work when people in crisis, because they are not ready to pour their feelings. Imagine volunteers come, everybody asks, how do you feel? And I have to answer, I feel sad. Of course I feel sad. Okay, what comes next? I get angry now because I'm sad. I lost my whole house. I cannot imagine. I don't know where my other siblings or my children are safe or not. So what do you mean? How do I feel? I feel very, don't ask me that kind of question. It's really about how you manage that anger. How do you manage that emotion? And that emotion, if you are volunteers, I know some of you are volunteers, you know how difficult it is. You also want to get angry. So how do you manage your own emotion? And of course, the magic word in our society is sabar. Kan? Be patient. Do you think they are happy when you say sabar, sabar? Imagine 100 orang jumpa say sabar. Okay, research have shown. I know sabar is another therapy that we actually work on. Okay, but they know. I know. Saya tahu saya perlu sabar, but don't tell me. You don't know what I'm going through. That's the exact word. Okay. So if without sabar, I cannot imagine myself. So validate the feelings. That's what we do in counseling. We validate the feeling. We say, oh, I cannot imagine what you go through. You must be wondering where are other family members. I'm sure you're worried about your home, your car, your everything. Okay? So just validate the feelings. I can see you are angry. Okay, I don't get, people get food, people get this and that, but I don't get for my family. So acknowledge it. I can see that angry. We'll see how we can help you on that. So do not make promise also. Because if you make promise, you don't know whether you can fulfill the promise. Don't say I understand. If I say understand, do you really understand? No. Okay. Even if you have lost someone important in your life, it's not the same. You can say, I can relate to your situation, but I cannot imagine what you're going through. So those are the words that you actually will help people see, oh, at least someone take note of how I feel. Okay, next. Tak habis ni slide ni. Okay, normal reaction. You can next. Okay, we have to actually communicate to them that whatever you feel about this crisis is true. Do not minimize. Minimize tu apa? Minimize macam ni. Like for example, you say, it's okay, things will be better. That's another promise that you don't say, okay? Minimizing is, it's just a cat. Okay? I lost my cat, dia nangis, like some people lost children. Don't do that because you don't know. Because having that attachment with a cat or a dog, for some people, is more valuable than having that attachment with human being. So we never do that because we know that it can be hurtful to them. So why don't you validate again? Okay, it must be, yeah, I think what you're going through is something true to yourself. Okay, so when crisis happen, next. Okay, next. I think I've said this earlier. Next. Adjustment and coping. The word coping is magic word to me because the artist you cannot change. How do you cope with it? Because this is a very reactive ataupun you have to take responsible to cope better, make adjustment. If you're too rigid in your life, when you're in crisis, you have to actually review your own characteristic because some people who are very rigid, but if you're not flexible enough to make some adjustment, it's going to be hard for you. Okay, attend to the agency and immediate needs. Next. Okay, next. Okay, life disrupted. So at one moment, somebody can just is showing no reaction is good? No? Yes. Okay. There are people who cry, there are people who shout, there are people react differently. What kind of reaction can you imagine people in crisis? Cry? Huh? Numb. Okay, good. You mentioned the word numb. Numb is you don't feel anything. Some people showed there are people who are interested, but there are people who show disinterested ataupun they don't show anything. That's also reaction. Okay, so while they are still processing how they feel, it's important that you say that, okay, it is normal reaction to crisis. It's normal not to feel anything. Because some people say, what's wrong with me? I don't feel anything. That's reaction. And some people stay quiet and say, my son is being quiet for hours or for days. That's also reaction. Because, and you have younger kids will have reactions too. They have no words to say things. They will just, you have to take note of whether they have nightmares, whether they have, they bedwet at night, okay? So those are part of the reactions that need to be taken care. Some younger kids, smaller kids, they have diarrhea, and those are also reactions, okay? These are part of the grief and loss thing that you have to understand. They are normal. So it's important that you tell people that when you're in crisis, these are normal reaction. So then they don't feel abnormal. There's no such thing as abnormal during crisis. But you're going to normalize it because you say these are normal reactions when you are in crisis. Next. Okay, this is COVID-19. Okay, next. Okay, next. You can just keep. Next. Next. I think COVID-19 is really great lesson for everyone. Things that we never knew, we thought, you know, okay, could happen. And things that we never knew we could do, we actually made it, okay? So we thought mental health become really big name lah. Everybody talk about mental health. Everybody want to talk about mental health, okay? So, yeah, nasib baik tak hilang pekerjaan. Okay, but anyways, anyway, anyone can talk about mental health. And the one thing good about Malaysia, we have different professionals talking about mental health from different perspective based on their expertise. So these are very important for you, for the public to know when to see the counselors, when to see the clinical psychologists, when to see the psychiatrists. So the term of reference for all the mental health professionals, they give different kind of assistance. Mental health issues is not mental disorder. All right. Having anxiety is not mental health disorder. Okay. Anxiety is, I think every other person say I have anxiety during COVID-19. Who doesn't? Because you don't know what's coming next, right? So stress and anxiety are two things that we do in counseling. We help people before it gets worse, so that you don't get into anxiety disorder. It's normal for you to feel anxious about things. It's normal. As it is normal for you to get stressed, but you want to make sure it's not prolonged so that you don't go to the other side. I have good friends, psychiatrists and psychologists, but I would like to prevent my client from going to the other side. So what do? I help them to cope better.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. All right, so you can ask question. Oh, they can ask question later, yeah. All right. Tak apa. I think ni dah ada gambar je lepas ni. Oh, ni physical needs. Let's go next. So, next. Okay, jalan je terus. Actually tak ada apa-apa pun slide ni. Okay, this one nothing lah. Just, and then, okay, I want to go to defining life because you have to define. Sounds like existentialist lah kan, but you have to define your own life to your when whatever situation you are in, because I highlighted cope and stress, but I like the definition by WHO. Can I go to the next slide? Okay, I purposely make it into different sentences Well, a state of well-being is when individual realize his or her own abilities, what you can do and you cannot do. This is part of education, your potentials, right? And then can cope with the normal stress of life. It says normal stress of life because there are situations that is not quite normal, not everybody face. When it comes to traumatic event and all that, you need really expert to work on it. And work productively. Somebody asked me, if you lost someone, how do you know you're okay or not? If you can function as a person, you can carry your duties and roles and functions well, you are okay. All right. But if you starting to feel that you don't want to, for 1 month, you don't want to go out, you don't want to meet people, you cannot even masak air, boil water. So you have to look for professional to help you. Okay. So that's the moment that you need help. But it's normal for you to stay at home, feel depressed. Stay at home for 1 day, the next day you get up, go out and get coffee. That's fine. So it's just something that sometimes you don't want to see people, right? Ada tak orang tak nak jumpa orang for 1 day. The next day, tak nak jumpa orang. So it's okay because feeling depressed and depressions are two different things. Depression is clinically diagnosed, but feeling depressed, there are times I feel depressed, Dr. Suhailah bagi banyak kerja, so I don't want to go to work. I take a day off. So, but the next day, I am a deputy, I have to meet her. So the next day I pick up things, I go to work. Ni contoh lah, contoh extreme. Okay. So, but anyway, at the end of the day, whatever you do, tengok ya, WHO pun very Islamic to me. Jangan kejap belakang. Dia kata, you must be able to contribute to society. The slide before. See, at the end, make a contribution to his or her community. So it's fardu kifayah lah kan? Alright, go next. Yeah, it's no point you're excellent, you are good, the best student, dapat 4 flat, but you don't contribute anything to the community. You're not mentally healthy person. Next. Okay, ini boleh skip. Nanti dia ni mental disorder. It's getting. Kenapa jadi macam ni? Okay, this one I want to skip. Okay. Yang tadi. Ini apa yang berlaku? This is what happened when COVID, what happened after COVID-19, but we can skip this part. This one. During crisis, COVID-19, like I said, is a very unique situation when we are not able to see people face to face, and we have tele-mental health that people can communicate. If you know about talian kasih, no rulu kasih, okay? Itu ada political thing lah kan. Talian kasih, these people, what happened is, I had the opportunity to be volunteers, and I realized that people, whatever they share with you during the crisis, actually, it's very impossible that you develop depression overnight. So normally it's existing. Either it's resurfaced or it has been for quite some time. A prolonged stress become depressed. Okay. I know people say that lots of divorces happen, broken family, and again, the same thing. Nothing actually happened overnight. So the marriage, the relationship has been not so good for quite some time, and that triggered, the COVID-19 triggered things. There are people who have had depression before or all kinds of mental disorder triggered by COVID-19 because of the situation. It resurfaced. So I have to be fair to my fellow professional helpers. They are doing their job, but it's not like because what we do online is very limited, but it's not stopping us from helping people. All right, next. Okay, this is initiative. I think we have, I shared this next. I shared this with, at one conference. When we share our initiatives compared to other countries in the region, I think we have done a lot in Malaysia. All the ministries, okay? So we have ministries of health with NGOs working on a lot of things, non-stop. People think that you stay at home, but I actually had to, every other day, if not every day, I had to do workshop online because school counselors need help how to manage crisis. There are death and because of the COVID-19. Back then, in 2000, nobody talked about grief and loss, bereavement. I did my study PhD in grief and loss. Somebody even question. We don't talk about grief and loss lah. We are Muslim people. We know it's takdir and it's fated. We don't talk about it. But after COVID-19, everybody start talking about it. Okay, I jadi goreng pisang lah kejap kan. But I think it's good to share because realitinya is you learn that from that situation, people need help. People need to cope. I have our former student not lost one, not two, not three, not four, 5 or 6 family members, both parents, sisters, makcik, pakcik, all the clan in the neighborhood. So imagine, not 1 or 2. All right, so that's what happened at that time. So we do a lot of psychoeducation in Malaysia. Even counselors need help, and we have to be creative, and that's humanizing. I realized that our counselors are all trained, but when in crisis, we need to support. So we have online support group. I think we had support group for all counselors in Malaysia under Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, and we talk about how hard it is to talk to the doctors who lost the family members while helping other patients. And these people have to manage their own emotion. Okay, so it's really, I think what we did also, we physical needs, we bring Nestum 3-in-1 and KitKat for the counselors. That's the idea from Persatuan Counselors Malaysia. I actually pack them and get help. Actually, education banyak help, KOed. So we get somebody from Sabasun, if you know Sabasun hypermarket from Terengganu, ship all these KitKats and Nestum because Nestum pun out of stock. So we give all the doctors and the frontliners. Next. Tak boleh tunjuk semua lah nanti. Okay, next. Ministry of Women also have crisis line. Ministry of Education. I think the most affected one are people in education, but I'm so proud of teachers and lecturers who are actually helping in trying to get things done. I have students who actually told me that they have to go deep, those people in Sarawak and even in Ulu Langat, they just leave the task ataupun homework assignment at the guard and they have to set, it's really to ferry that, to make sure that they go through that because not everybody can go online, right? So okay, this is Majlis Agama Islam. This is also in Negeri Sembilan. They also help us with all the cases of conflict and crisis because we need expert who's available online to go communicate with the couples. Okay, and they have 24 hours counselors and also provide physical. One thing about MAIS, Majlis Agama Islam Negeri Sembilan, they also provide food. Next, food pack. NGOs next. Apa ni gambar je? Okay, next. Okay, recent one, we probably the first country in the world that actually has established National Center of Excellence for Mental Health in Cyberjaya. We try to coordinate. What happened is that we want to coordinate all the professional helpers. So these are the things that actually not as planned, but out of. You all know Maya Sejahtera, right? The recent edition is My Minda. You can actually screen if you have any mental health issues, not disorder, mental health issue. If you have mental issue, you know you are rated quite high and it's time for you to seek help, right? So even IIUM, we have ISP. If you're IIUM lecturers, we have one good screening tool for early detections of mental health issues. These are all developed COVID-19. Next. Dah, gambar je rasanya lepas ni. Next. Go to self-care. Last kali. Alright. Ini semua all the I actually, because people are desperate for information, we created the pamphlets, brochures, tip sheets. Okay. So lots of things done online. Like I said, this one can stop. Oh, ni UIA. No, I think I forgot to put one. When KOed has the team, we have people who help students on campus, but it's not here, I think. Next. Ni student kita. They share, we have support group, KOed ya, kita KOed kan lah. KOed only, we have support group for PG and UG students. We communicate, we talk about sunset, sunrise, we talk about cats. We actually, they ask question how to, one of the cat have, apa namanya, luka ke apa, what to do, and all kinds of tips lah. Okay, so we send food. Next, tak payah ni. Lupa nak next. Self-care, terus ke self-care? Okay. Terus, okay. Okay, this one is expectation. During crisis, you have to lower your expectation. Okay. Sorry lah, I tak sempat nak potong apa slide. Do the self-care. It's not a choice, but it's a must. So why self-care is important? Because we need to recharge. We need a break. Okay, from thinking about things. Okay, when we talk about processing things and all that. I just want to conclude with APK. Physically, dah miss dah slide tadi. You have to make sure you have good, during crisis, make sure you get good sleep, good rest, good food, okay? And then emotionally, you must know how you feel, validate that feelings, and also be aware of feelings of others. And then socially, we have to know that whatever we react, however we react, how we feel may interfere or may affect people around us, okay? And then when we are in difficult situation, it's very difficult for us to make decision, but it's good to make sure that good thing is about APK. We encourage that your conscience, you still have to make the best decision for yourself and others. And spiritually, we see lots of coping spiritually that help people cope better. And instead, it's part of self-care. And at the same time, that's actually preventing self-harming or harmful coping behavior. So do self-care.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haniza. I like, yes. Thank you. I like the list, especially the one with get a hug. I think you should get a hug from one another. Yeah. Yeah, get a hug. Yes. Yeah. Butterfly. I'm not sure about guy hugging guys. All right. But I know girls can hug. Okay, maybe guys can do a self hug. All right. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm very happy that she said that Dr. Suhailah, the dean, is giving her a lot of work, not me. So, so I think I will stop here. So please take the opportunity to talk to Dr. Haniza and Dr. Suhailah. But I think you have a meeting or something, right? But if you can just join us for tea, that'd be nice. So let us adjourn for now and come back before 11:30. Thank you very much. I'll see you then, inshallah. Tea is at the courtyard. Okay, first floor, tempat biasa dekat courtyard. Yes.
That's one.